Now that we've seen how xargs works, I wanted to help you to see the power that it gives by demonstrating some of its uses. There's no limit to what you can do with xargs, but these examples should give you an idea of how other people typically use it and get you thinking about ways to make it work for you. The first example I want to show you is how to use xargs with what I call file manifest. Notice that I'm inside my user directory and inside Unix files, and in there's a file called file_manifest.txt. It's just simply a list of file names of files that are in this same current directory. The idea here is that I've selected the files that I care about and I've arranged them in a certain order. Now I can use xargs to do something with those. Now what you do with them is up to you. You can open them, you might grep them, you might print them, or you might just want to concatenate their contents together. They might represent file templates that we want to copy over whenever we start a new project. For now, I'm just going to use cat just to show you the contents of them, and then pipe it through less so that we just don't get a huge stream of output. So there you go. You can see that that's exactly what it did. It took each of these files and put them together in the order I specified. Imagine that you had 20 different files that all belonged to one project, and you wanted to assemble those together in a certain order for a presentation or something. You could use this file manifest technique to be able to manage them. It's not just file names that we put in a file that we can use. We could, for example, use our fruit file, right? Fruit.txt. That's just going to be a simple list of fruit. Let's take that and let's pipe it through sort and unique so that we have a unique list of fruit. And then we'll send that to xargs. And in xargs, we'll use our placeholder specifier, make a directory, including the parent directories, and we'll put it on our desktop, a folder called fruits, and in that we'll put a folder for each of these fruits. There it is. We have fruits now that appeared on our desktop. And when I open that folder up, I've got a folder for each one of my fruits. Imagine that we've got a class of 30 students and we need to create a folder to put each student's work in for all 30 students. We take a list of their first names and last names, we pass it to xargs, and boom, we've created 30 folders with just one single command. You can see how it can really speed up repetitive tasks that we normally would do in the Finder. Let me give you another example. Let's say that we have our process list and we want to pipe that through grep, and we're going to look for some process, some set of processes that have gone bad somehow we need to get rid of. Well, there's bad processes, we'll call them. Now if I just hit return on that, you'll see that it comes up and it finds the grep that I'm doing for bad process. That's the only process that matches. So this is just a demo. And what we'll do is we'll pass that into cut, and we'll grab 11 through 15, which will represent this process ID here. And then we'll take all of those process IDs that it finds, pass them into xargs with kill 9. Boom, we just killed all of our bad processes. Now it came up and told me there were no such processes, and that's because this process that it did find, grep bad processes, is gone by the time it gets over here to kill it. It started and it stopped before kill could ever get a hold of it. But you see the concept, and it shows you how you can use xargs in some unusual places. In general, xargs works really well with grep. So for example, we had grep for apple inside all the files called fruit.txt, and it gives us back all of those matches. Remember, we used the -l option in front of it, -lowercase l. Now it gives us just the file names themselves. So now these files are ready to be passed into xargs. We found everything that had a match. Now we can do whatever we want with those files that have a match. We can take them, we can pipe them into xargs word count. We can find out the word counts of those, or we can concatenate them all together. It also works really well with find. So for example, we could find everything that's in my test directory and everything whose type is a standard file and pass that to xargs and change the permissions on that to be 755. Now remember, I told you that sometimes we need to use this -0 as an option to xargs. With find is one of the places where we really want to use it, and find even has a special option of its own called print 0. So print 0 will make sure that the null character is used to separate them, and then the -0 on xargs will make sure that xargs uses that null character. So it's a way for the two of them to communicate effectively. So we can go ahead and hit return on that. Let's try another example. Let's do find, and we'll look everything in the current directory whose name matches fruit. We'll do that one again, and we're going to use print 0, pipe it through xargs with -0, and then let's use our placeholder specifier, and what we're going to do is copy each one of those arguments to desktop, and we're going to use that placeholder specifier again, but also append .backup to the end. So I hit return, and guess what? It went and found each one of those files that had a match, sent it to xargs, and then copied it as a backup file to my desktop. Now let's say that we want to remove all of those backup files. So we have find and desktop. everything on the desktop whose name has backup at the end, and we'll do the print 0, pipe it through xargs with -0, and then we can use rm. Now you might think, well, let's use rm-i for interactive. Actually, xargs doesn't allow you to do interactive. If you want xargs to be interactive, you have to use the -p option for prompt. And this will work for any kind of xargs thing. It basically will prompt you before it actually does it. Gives you a chance to say yes or no. There's one other thing that I want to caution you about here, which is that when we're doing a find, especially if you're doing a find that's going to then do copy or remove or anything like that, it's a good idea to make sure that you're not searching too deeply in the folders, right? If I really just want to get rid of these things that are on my desktop, then I need to specify the depth is going to be equal to 1. Just look in the current immediate folder. Don't go any deeper. Or if I wanted to allow it to go 2 folders deep, then you could specify depth 2. You want to make sure that you don't accidentally grab more files than you intend to. All right, let's hit return on this. And you'll see xargs give you a prompt saying, hey, do you want to remove all these files? For start with, I'll just say in and then return. So that's no. I'm just going to make a change to it now. We're going to say -in1 is an option, so it'll take each one of these as a separate argument. Now it comes up and says, do you want to remove this one? Why? Boom, it's gone. Why? Right? We get a chance to approve each one of them before they disappear. The -in option makes sure that they're sent in each one as its own argument. Now I've shown you that xargs works well with grep and it works well with find. It works really well if we use both. Let me just paste in a fake example here. Imagine that I'm finding everything in the current directory whose file name has invoice anywhere in it, pass that to xargs, and then tell grep, hey, look inside that subset of files and see if you find the word programming and tell me what those file names are. Now, of course, this is a fake example. I don't have any files called invoice. Or imagine that we're a web developer and we're looking for all files in our website that have .html at the end, pass those off, and grep those to find a certain tag that we're looking for, like h3. Now again, this is just a demo example, but you get the idea. Now not only would I be able to use find and then pass it to xargs and grep it, but what I'm getting back is a list of file names because I use that -l option. So guess what? I can use xargs again on the file names that it returns from that. Let me show you a real example. Here's one where we say, all right, find everything whose file is fruit.txt, grep it for mango inside the file, and then pass that to xargs a second time, and this time we're going to copy it to our desktop. So there we go. Boom. It searched for the file name, looked for the right file content, and then copied the file to our desktop. These examples are just a small sample of what you can do with xargs. I want you to think of using xargs whenever you want to perform a command on many items in a list. That list can be recorded in a file, as we saw with the file manifest, or it can be dynamically generated by another command, as we did with grep and find. And if you learn to use xargs effectively, it will really speed up your workflow.